Check this out.
Thank you, Karine. On the consideration of these new executive orders for the border, what changed between the time President Biden said, "We are a nation who says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come," and now?
Oh man, I mean, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be very fun then.
I don't understand. What do you mean? Your question, I don't get.
As a
How
candidate,
it's
President
connected
Biden
to
was telling people to come to the border. So what has changed since then?
I don't have the context of this quote that you're giving me, but what I will say is this. The president took this issue very seriously of what is happening at the border and what in the immigration system as a whole, right? And we have said over and over again, this is a system that has been broken for decades. Under the last administration, as you know, which was a Republican administration, and other administrations before that. And he took this so seriously that the first piece of legislation that he put forward on day one was on immigration reform.
Seriously?
That is what counts, and that is what matters. And for the past several months, we worked with Republican senators and also Democrats in the Senate to try to come up with a fair and tough piece of legislation that would deal with border security. That was, let's not forget, endorsed by the Border Union Patrol. And that's how seriously the president has taken it. We've done this for months, and House Republicans have gotten in the way. The Speaker has gotten in the way. And so we want to deal with this issue. This is an issue that majority of Americans care about. House Republicans, the Speaker got in the way. The question really is for the Speaker. What changed? What? Speaker Johnson, what's changed?
Something else President Biden has promised is a more humane border policy than Trump. So why would he even be considering now a border policy that is more similar to Trump?
What border policy are you talking about?
Axios is reporting that the legal authority Biden is considering using powered Trump's Muslim ban and similar sweeping restrictions at the border.
I'm not going to get into or comment on individual policy option that's being speculated right now. As I said before, no decisions have been made. We want to make sure, the president has been very clear, he wants to make sure that our country is safer. And we need more border security, obviously, to secure our border. We've been very clear about that, and we want to do it while treating people fairly and humanely. And that is consistent with our values.
There she goes.
But look, Republicans continue to get in the way. Speaker Johnson has gotten in the way of this. And so a lot of these questions are for him. We did our job. The Senate did their job in a bipartisan way. There are provisions in that policies that are in that legislation that Republicans agreed with at some point, not very long ago, just last year, that they agreed with, and now they're rejecting it.
Karine, with regards to the sanctions on Russia, you mentioned that previous sanctions you said had been effective, in part because Russia was forced to go to other countries like Iran and North Korea to get resources. Still, though, the war is not over. How can you make the argument that those sanctions have been effective if they're still getting those resources from those other countries, wherever they're getting them?
I mean, we believe, and I just laid this out moments ago, that we have seen an impact. I talked about Bloomberg. I talked about what Putin's own oil czar has had to do. I mean, this is what we have been able to impose on Russia has been pretty significant. It has been pretty significant when you think about another major economy, the most that we've ever been able to do on any major economy. And as I've stated, this is cumulative, right? This is a continuation, and we believe, as has been reported, that we have seen some impact here. We're going to continue to use every tools in our tool belt. Obviously, we're going to developing new tools to make it harder and costlier for Russia to fuel its war machine. That's what we're going to do. And at the same time, we need Congress to do their jobs. We need House Republicans. We need the Speaker to put on the floor a national security supplemental plan that we believe and we know will get bipartisan support. We've heard from Republicans in the House. We've heard from, obviously, Democrats in the House. That's what we need the House to do.
And on the border, I know you said you couldn't or wouldn't get into specific executive actions being considered or not considered, but bottom line, as a policy, does the administration believe that asylum laws need to be strengthened?
I'm going to be, I know.
This is serious.
It's a bipartisan bill, and you said the president would sign it.
Yeah, he would.
Strengthen asylum laws. So I just want to be sure, the administration does believe that asylum laws need to be strengthened.
Obviously, because it was in, as you just stated, in the bipartisan legislation that came out of the Senate that the president's team worked very closely on. I just want to be very, very clear and very careful. Decisions haven't been made. I'm not going to get into any internal policy, individual policy, option that's being speculated in the press. I'm just not going to do that from here. But no decision has been made.
On a separate topic, I know the U.S. has had a complicated relationship with Mexico before. I wanted to get the White House's reaction to President López Obrador doxing a New York Times reporter in a press conference.
Oh, well, I've not seen that. Obviously, that's not something we support. We believe in the freedom of the press, obviously, which is why we do this on almost on a daily basis. It is important for the press to be able to report on issues that matter to the American people freely, in a way that obviously you all feel secure and safe, and in a way that you're not being doxied or attacked. That is something that we will obviously reject.
Thanks, Karine. One follow-up on Next Benedict and then another on a separate subject. Given that Nex's family said they had been bullied in the months prior to their death, specifically about their gender identity, and the family also says that Nex was physically assaulted the day prior to their death, does the White House think that this case should be the subject of a federal hate crime investigation?
I'm going to be really careful. That is something for the Department of Justice to decide on. I cannot speak to that. Obviously, our hearts go out to Nex Benedict's family. It is a tragedy that is awful, and I said this at the beginning, and I'll say it again. Every kid should feel safe and should feel protected when they go to school, and this should not be the case. But that is something, as far as any legal action, that's something for the Department of Justice to decide.